When I broke the little carb feeler here off of the rider's foot peg on my RS, I decided to get one of those bolt extractors to try and remove it, but as you can see, that was a total failure because the bolt extractor broke in there. I even bought one of the little carb feelers there just to replace it, but I couldn't get the bolt out, so now I've got to replace the whole bloody foot peg. I decided to do that because this was kind of like, you know, getting old. This is about 6 years old. But I didn't want to buy a BMW part because it was going to be quite expensive, and I was able to source this. This is from AliExpress, so this is Chinese stuff. I can't go wrong, and you know, if it doesn't work out, then I can always put the original one back. So what you get in the package, and I'll put a link in the description below, is a left and a right and two nubs. They're not exactly BMW nubs. This is what a genuine BMW part looks like. The point is, it's a little bit lower, so less warning for when you're leaned over, I guess, but it doesn't matter to me. That's the part that I want to compare with the original. In every respect, it seems to be the same. As you can see, well, this one is a little bit narrower. If you look at it, it's a little bit narrower than the original. This is the part that I just removed. It's just retained by a pin, and there's a C-clip here that clips it on. The tricky part of putting this back together is to get the powerful spring back in the right spot. So let's compare the two side by side. That's what they look like, pretty darn comparable. And underneath, they look pretty much the same. Riveted connections right here and here, and a little bit bigger rivets on the Chinese one. And weight-wise, they feel about the same. This one has the BMW one has a little ridge here, a nice little styling ridge. This one doesn't. But other than that, it's effectively the same. And as far as I'm concerned, it's just a foot peg. So who cares if they're not exactly the same? Lengthwise, they're about the same. So that's fine. So it's a cheap replacement. Before I actually installed this on the bike, I tried to test fit the pin through the hole. Guess what? This hole is slightly undersized on the right side peg. This hole is okay, it's just it's passing through, but then the pin doesn't want to go through all the way here. So I have to go take my drill and ream this out slightly so that the pin can pass through. There you go. That's what you get for buying you know, cheap Chinese parts. But at least it's still usable once I ream that out. I tried it on the other side, the same pin on this side, and it passed through. So quality control, not so good. They can't even get holes correct in you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So 25% of the holes are wrong. So there it is, back installed. Or I shouldn't say back installed. There it is installed. The cheap Chinese foot peg is installed. After I reamed out that hole at the bottom there, pin passed through perfectly. The hardest part of this job is, as you might expect, getting that spring back in place so that you can pass the pin through. And essentially what you've got to do is get another pair of hands. So my wife helped me with this job. She was in charge of pushing the pin through as I push this spring forward so that the pin can pass right through. Because the pin, the spring wants to come out, it's about here. where my finger is, and you've got to push that. So you've got to act against the spring in pushing it forward so that the pin can pass through. And it's quite a bit of a pain in the butt to do that. So having done that, I went ahead and I pulled a perfectly good peg on the left side, just because I wanted even pegs on both sides. And I pulled that one, and I still had her in the garage, so she helped put the pin back in, and so there we've got it. And let's see the alignment. It is pretty much 90 degrees. I believe that these Chinese pegs are, if anything, very slightly more angled back than the original ones. You can't really tell. Without a side-by-side comparison, I can't tell how much of an angle back it is, but it might be more than one. It might be maybe 1 degree more angled back, but to my feet, that's not going to be a problem. There you go. Foot peg replacement on the RS, all because this broke off on the original one, and I couldn't get the broken piece out.